Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. Today we're going to check out Fallen Angel, episode 10 of season 1. Debuting on the Fox network on November 19th, 1993, Fallen Angel follows our agents as they investigate the crash of a supposed UFO. Will Mulder finally be able to prove the existence of extraterrestrials? Well, let's find out. The episode begins in Townsend, Wisconsin, as there appears to be some kind of fire in the woods. A deputy pulls up and radios the station, letting them know of the fire.
Suggest we dispatch fire crews, over.
Unable to make contact with the station, the deputy decides to check out the fire himself. However, this man has never seen a horror film, as he doesn't realize the black guy always dies first.
They always kill the black folks off first.
Meanwhile, at the U.S. Space Surveillance Center, Colonel Henderson is informed of an unidentified craft that entered the airspace. They show him on a computer the path the craft took, and it looks like a sweet game of asteroids. They want to make a report of the incident, but Henderson tells them not to.
Negative. What she tracked was a meteor.
Yes, of course, a meteor. Well, Henderson knows what it really is and makes a call.
I have a confirmed fallen angel in Sector 87. Mobilize Operation Falcon immediately.
Meanwhile, our friend the deputy is checking out the crash site when something moves past him. This thing rushes and flashes him, and they could have given an epilepsy warning before this whole thing started. There's a news report on the TV about the incident which claims it to be a train wreck, and the town is surprisingly being evacuated. I mean, if this was really going on, the mainstream media would be quiet about it and the government wouldn't be doing a damn thing. But I digress. Mulder is preparing to head to the site as our boy Deep Throat has informed him it isn't a train wreck but something much more interesting. Colonel Henderson is part of our reclamations team and he's being sent out to find and bring back whatever this craft is, and Mulder doesn't have much time.
I'd say you have 24 hours.
So of course Mulder tells no one of what he's doing and heads out into the woods alone. He reaches an area of the woods blocked off with laser tripwires, and I'm sure nothing would happen if he went through those. The soldiers are working a barricade and somehow don't notice Mulder, who's maybe 15 feet off to the side and brightly lit by the sun.
What are you, blind?
A truck carrying soldiers enters the base and somehow Mulder managed to crawl under it, grab on, and sneak into the base without anyone noticing. He somehow makes it tonight without getting caught and watches as soldiers walk past. Mulder spots a bright light off in the distance and goes to check it out. And the dopey look on his face pretty much says it all. He starts taking photos of the cleanup crew and craft, but is rudely interrupted. Colonel Henderson exposes Mulder's film roll to light, destroying the photos, and begins his interrogation.
You violated a U.S. government quarantine, and that's a federal crime.
Henderson claims they're trying to clean up an ecological disaster, but Mulder isn't buying it.
It's a lot of firepower just to protect Mother Nature.
He's sent to a makeshift jail which looks like a dog kennel, where he meets Max Fennig, a UFO nut just like Mulder.
You MUFON or QFOS?
However, Mulder isn't really interested in talking.
Say no more. You're a cautious man. Trust no one. Very wise.
This is, however, the first reference to trust no one in the series. And it's funny seeing how Mulder brushes this guy off when he is basically a template for the lone gunman, who Mulder will often go to for help. But I think Mulder quickly comes to his senses and realizes this guy is no different than him.
What makes you so sure there's something out there?
Same thing that makes you so sure?
The following morning, Mulder wakes as Scully arrives to bail his ass out yet again.
I didn't know there was room service.
This isn't funny, Mulder.
It is funny, actually.
Mulder tries to introduce her to Max, but he's already been released. Scully then informs him that he's in pretty hot water back in DC.
Mulder, he wants to shut down the X-Files, and he wants you out of the Bureau.
They argue over why he's there and what he saw, and Scully the good girl always believes the official narrative.
It was a downed Libyan jet with a nuclear warhead.
I don't blame Mulder for laughing at her either.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Mulder believes they're still searching for the pilot, claiming no human pilot could have survived. We then see as the Predator returns, making his second appearance in the series. It watches as a truck drives by, then bolts it across the road. I'm glad this thing makes a really annoying ear-piercing sound too. Mulder and Scully head to his motel, and she's not happy as Mulder has a hearing to go to the following morning, and she's been tasked with bringing him back. Well, someone ransacked the place, and it appears like they're still inside. Scully pulls her gun as Mulder doesn't have his, and they go to investigate. Well, it turns out to be Max, who is stuck in the window, even though the window goes from open to close to open again magically. They bring Max to the bed, and it appears as though he's some kind of Mulder groupie.
We at NICAP have been following your career really closely ever since you became involved with the X-Files.
Following my career?
And Scully is beside herself now that there's two of these weirdos.
Amazing.
Max, all excited, brings them to his camper trailer, which turns out to be a UFO nut's wet dream. Max and Mulder are talking about crop circles when Scully decides it's a good time to start snooping his medication. Max shows the agents his surveillance equipment and a recording that may intrigue Mulder.
Wait a second. What the hell? Charlie, we got a situation here.
Colonel Henderson, meanwhile, is speaking to his superiors, telling them whatever this thing is, it won't get away. At the local high school that's currently being used as a shelter for the evacuees, Mulder and Scully meet with Mrs. Wright, whose husband died in the beginning of the episode. However, she doesn't appear to want to talk.
He's dead. What else is there to know?
The military won't let her see her husband's body and threaten to withhold his pension from her if she were to ever speak with anyone. Suddenly, the lights go out and the soldiers are tracking the alien using thermal vision.
Target on the northeast side. What speed?
Colonel Henderson gives his men the order to search and destroy, and this guy looks like he's about to crap himself.
Stop being a girly man.
This thing, however, isn't going to go down without a fight, and just starts flashing all the soldiers. Mulder and Scully go to the nearby hospital to ask about Mrs. Wright's husband, and the doctor won't give up any information, but Mulder knows someone has gotten to him and he's been threatened.
They must have made some pretty big threats. What'd they hold over your head? Your medical license?
The doctor finally tells the agents he did see the body.
Yes, and 3 others from a fire crew.
But they were taken away before he could ever do a thorough examination. Mulder asks the doctor if the men could have died from radiation exposure, and he says it's possible, but it would have to be intense. Mulder and Scully argue over the burns, with Scully claiming the only time she ever read about similar burns were from Hiroshima.
Yeah, so have I in Hiroshima at Ground Zero.
Just then, the soldiers that were attacked are rushed into the hospital. Colonel Henderson walks by, just glaring at the agents, as this whole thing is cutting into his time at the S&M club. Mulder tries asking what happened, but Henderson won't give him the time of day. Mulder and Scully are threatened to leave, but the doctor says Scully is staying, and it looks like he finally grew a pair.
Outside this emergency room, you can do whatever you want, but in here, I call the shots.
Mulder's then escorted out while Scully stays to scrub up. Mulder goes to visit Max and finds him having a seizure on the floor of his trailer. He holds Max still, which I'm not sure you're supposed to do when someone is having a seizure. He comes to, not realizing he was having one, saying it's impossible.
I haven't had an episode in 7 years, not since I went on medication.
Mulder offers to take him to the hospital, but he turns it down, saying he's lived with epilepsy his whole life, and it's just his luck that there happens to be an alien on the loose that goes around flashing people with bright lights. Max tells Mulder when he was a kid he used to wake up in weird places, not knowing how he got there. Mulder helps Max into bed so he can relax when Mulder notices a scar behind his right ear. Mulder is in the hotel looking at photos and documentation of scars from alien abductees when Scully returns. She tells Mulder all but 2 of the soldiers died as a result of their burns, and she has no idea as to what's going on. It doesn't matter, however, as they have to get back in time for Mulder's hearing. Mulder wants her to look at something before they do, though.
Max, there's an unusual incision behind his left ear.
Alright, Mulder, except we the audience saw it was the right ear. Mulder claims he's seen these scars before in other abduction cases and alludes that he believes Max to be an abductee. Scully, though, has another explanation.
The man is taking powerful antipsychotic drugs. More than likely, Max is delusional.
But Mulder has a counter to her argument.
You don't seem to understand, Scully. Max doesn't believe he was abducted by aliens. I believe he was.
Mulder asks her to check on Max and give him her medical diagnosis, which she agrees to so long as he starts to pack. Meanwhile, another ship is being tracked on the asteroids game again, with this one being much larger in size.
Meteor, Miss Cork.
Well, sir, the meteor seems to be hovering over a small town in eastern Wisconsin.
We're back with the alien who has fisheye vision as it enters Max's trailer. It makes its way to Max, which causes his ears to bleed. He then opens his eyes and there's a sudden bright light. Mulder and Scully decide to check on Max before they leave, and Scully really sounds enthusiastic.
Come on, Mulder, let's get this over with.
They enter and Max is nowhere to be found. Scully does find blood on his bed, however. They overhear on Max's equipment of an unidentified trespass at the waterfront, and Scully just gives him a "don't you dare" look.
Don't you even f***ing dare!
Well, Mulder does dare and is gonna find Max, hearing be damned. Max is at the waterfront where he's stopped by military personnel. They contact Colonel Henderson, who tells them to proceed with extreme caution. Mulder and Scully arrive somehow before the colonel, who appeared to be pretty close. They discover the bodies of the soldiers, who are now burnt to a crisp.
Can't you taste that sizzling, juicy flame broiled whopper?
The agents run into a nearby warehouse where they find Max. The sound of an overhead military helicopter is causing him a great deal of pain, and he keeps saying it's coming for me. Scully goes outside where she is immediately apprehended by some soldiers. Even though she clearly came out of a door, they decide to set up some explosives. Scully is brought to Colonel Henderson where he tells his men to keep her clear. One of his men informs him he's picking up 3 forms inside the warehouse, which is weird seeing as it's only Mulder and Max in there. Unless...
an alien!
Mulder is trying to comfort Max, who's completely terrified.
I'm scared.
I know.
Don't let him take me.
The alien rushes them and sends Mulder flying with its flash. Mulder gets up and Max is gone. He looks around the warehouse, and when he turns a corner he finds Max hovering in the air. And clearly the X-Files has to rip off Stranger Things by having someone suspended in the air. I mean, the character's name just so happens to be Max, just like the character from Stranger Things. I mean, come on guys, come up with your own material. Anyways, the whole room starts flashing and shaking with one final big flash. One of the soldiers radios Colonel Henderson, informing him he's only picking up 1 figure now.
We indicate only 1 figure inside the building.
What?
The soldiers blow their way inside and only find Mulder limping along. Colonel Henderson asks where Max is and Mulder tells him he's gone, that they got to him first. Mulder is then arrested. Back at FBI headquarters, Scully is being questioned during Mulder's hearing.
To your knowledge, was Agent Mulder ever assigned to investigate matters related to the evacuation of Townsend, Wisconsin?
No, sir.
Chief McGrath asks her a bunch of questions, which she answers, but he will not let her get a word in. Mulder seems rather optimistic though.
Good luck.
I'll break a leg.
He's in his hearing and McGrath completely discredits anything he says or anything he witnessed, but Mulder gets the last laugh with this truth bomb.
You can deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer. Because too many others know what's happening out there. And no one, no government agency has jurisdiction over the truth.
Well, frowny-faced McGrath doesn't look happy, as someone behind the scenes has changed the decision to remove Mulder.
I don't understand. The committee's case was airtight. You've ruined the last best chance we had to get rid of him.
And it's our boy Deep Throat looking out for Mulder. Although it looks like he's playing both sides.
Always keep your friends close, Mr. McGrath. But keep your enemies closer.
Fallen Angel is a strong episode, bringing us back to the mythology storyline. I always enjoy watching Mulder go off and go against protocol with Scully in the background trying to cover for him. The episode is currently sitting at a 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb, which I think is a pretty fair rating. Our friends at Cinefantastique even gave the episode a 3.5 out of 4 stars, stating, "Fallen Angel is satisfying in the left turn it takes with the character of Max, who at first seems to be comic relief but transforms most believably into a tragic figure molded by his own abduction experiences. Writers Howard Gordon and Alex Ganza made sure to include alternate explanations for the quarantine zone, with Howard saying, "Right away we established that there was a cover story, that this town was being evacuated based on a supposed toxic spill. This, of course, was a sleight of hand and played right into the paranoid aspect of the show. The alien effects took inspiration from The Predator with its cloaking. This was done intentionally as to make it scarier for those watching at home. Series creator Chris Carter even mentioned what you don't see is scarier than what you see. The alien was played by a dancer wearing a goofy orange body sock. It was so silly that one of the producers, Paul Rabowin, said, "I could hear laughter coming from different screening rooms all across the lot." The character of Max Fennig was played by Canadian actor, director, and theater instructor Scott Bellis. He's had some small roles in other shows such as The Dead Zone and MacGyver. Marshall Bell played the role of Colonel Henderson. He got his start with the 1984 film Birdie, which effectively launched his career. Bell has had an extensive career in many different TV shows and movies, with his most infamous role being that of the creepy Coach Schneider in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. But we can't forget what he's probably most known for, and that's the resistance leader George in the badass Arnold Schwarzenegger film Total Recall. Fallen Angel is a good episode further driving forward Mulder's search for the truth of the existence of extraterrestrials and what happened to his sister. Check back next time as we take a look at a couple creepy little girls in the episode Eve. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this episode, as I love hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like more videos like this, then think about becoming a subscriber, as it would mean the world to me. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay spooky.
Friday, an alien life form crashes to Earth.
I suggest you forget what you think you saw.
We both know what's out there.
It has no shape, no form, and only one deadly purpose. The X-Files. Don't watch it alone. An all-new episode, Friday.